Welcome to Economics Simplified with Miss Ellen. We are here to simplify economics for my viewers or my students. Please remember to subscribe to this channel, you like, you share, and you leave a comment below. Today's video, we are looking at trade unions and employers association. Trade unions and employers association. By the end of this video, we are going to define what trade unions are. We are going to look at their aims, their functions, and then some measures they use in fighting for their interests, and also that of the Employers Association. Now let's define what trade union is. It is simply an association of workers or employees in a particular occupation formed to protect their interests in terms of wages and other conditions of service through collective bargaining with their employers or the government. So as I said, it is an association, and then the members are the workers or the employees. What they do is they come together to fight for a common interest. So that is the trade union. A typical example of trade unions, we have the General Agricultural Workers Union, we have Teachers and Educational Workers Union, and then that of the National Union of Seamen, the ILOT. Now we look at the aims or objectives of the trade unions. The first is to improve the working conditions of their workers. Then to educate members about labor laws. Every union have its labor laws, so they are there to ensure that members are aware about their labor laws. Then to protect members against wrongful dismissals and other forms of intimidation which will be coming from the employers or the government. Then the other is to provide seminars or courses for their members. These seminars and then courses are to help members to upgrade themselves. Now we look at the functions or roles of trade unions. The first is promotion of better social welfare. The social welfare is in terms of giving members better working environments. Then we have the provision of protective gears in order to protect the people at the workplace. And also, in case there is accident or any of the members fall victim of any fatal accident, the union is there to give compensation. It can be in the form of money or any other item. Then another function is promotion of economic welfare. So the economic welfare has to do with fighting for how a higher wages and salaries for the members, giving of bonuses, giving of end of service benefit to the members, and also representing their members at the tripartite committee. That is the three-party committee. This committee it's comprised of the government, the employer, and then the worker or the employee. Then we have organization of training and education for members. Now, this training can be in a form of seminars, workshops. That is the training. Now, the training is to help upgrade the members in the workplace. Then we have it influences government policies. The trade unions, they help to influence government policies in terms of assisting government in their formulation of policies and also help to implement these policies. Then another function is they engage in credit unions and other business activities. A typical example, we have the GPRTU who buy cars or buses for their members to use for business. So they help to create employment for their members. Then they help government to generate revenue. That is by forming tax force, and then they help to collect revenue or tax on behalf of the government. And then we know what the tax are used for. They are used for supporting the government in their developmental projects in the country. Now let's look at the problems facing trade unions. problems facing trade unions. The first is we have inadequate funds. Trade unions are having challenges when it comes to funding. Therefore, they are not able to meet regularly for their meetings. They can't they are not able to give refresher courses to their members. And then with all this, it weakens the trade union activities. Then another is poor leadership. Most of the times, the leadership or some of the leaders of the trade unions, they are not well organized. They are not able to direct or influence their members, and then that of the employees. The employers. So at the end of the day, they are being corrupt by either the employers or the government. So that is one problem or challenge facing the trade union. Another is apathy towards the union. Now, some members do not have any apathy for the union in terms of they do not support their unions or they give little support to their unions. When it comes to payment of dues, the members do not pay dues. Now, this does not help. That is the reason in the trade union society. Why? Because members do not have any apathy for the union. That is, they don't actually care about the union. Then another is high unemployment rate. When there is high unemployment rate in the system, it weakens the trade union activity in terms of the trade unions are not able to negotiate for a higher wage salary or a higher wages or salary for their members. Now, this gives employers a upper hand in terms of they determine what they should give to the employees or the workers. Why? Because there is no employment in the system. Then we have lack of strike funds. Mostly, if trade unions go on strike for, let's say, a longer period of time, ideally, the trade union leaders or executives are the ones who have to pay the laborers or the workers. But here is the case, they don't have adequate funds. So at the end of the day, workers fear to go on strike or workers fear to go on strike for a longer period of time. Why? Because they fear to lose their wages at the end of the month. Then we have political interference. Sometimes the government tries to influence trade unions, that is by giving them political appointments. Now, if government interferes with the trade union leaders, instead of the leaders fighting for their members, they rather fight against their members in favor of the government. So that is how government is able to interfere with the activities of the trade unions. Now let's look at some of the measures used by trade unions to fight for their interests. The first is what is known as collective bargaining. That is one measure used by the trade unions to fight for their interests. Now, this is where the union leaders sit with the employers or government to negotiate for a better wages and salary. That is collective bargaining. Then another is through the minimum wage legislation. Now, what the trade unions do is they use the minimum wage set by the government as a yardstick or a standard for them to also negotiate for a better wages or salaries for their members. Then we have manipulation of productivity. Now, with the manipulation of productivity, this is where workers can either work very hard in order to improve or increase productivity. Now, when there is an increase in productivity, it means that the profit margin of employers will increase. Therefore, the employers will have no other choice, but then also in a form of motivating you, will give you a higher salary. Another way of manipulating productivity will be that they will want to reduce productivity by not working very hard. Now, this is to send a message to you, the employer, that you should take care of or you should look at their grievances, or it means they are not working in order to increase your productivity for you. Then we have another measure which is known as work to rule. The work to rule is the same as go slow. Now, it is a situation where workers strictly obey the rules of their workplace, knowing that it will slow down work or productivity. A typical example is, let's assume that It is the rule of the work you are doing. You should report at exactly 7 a.m. to the workplace. Now, people are going to go strictly by this rule by reporting at that exact time. But then, whether they are going to work or they wouldn't work, it is also another thing. So they are going strictly by the rules, but then the intention of going strictly by the rule is to what, delay or slow down productivity, so that you, the employer, you will be able to cater for their grievances. Then another measure we have picketing. Picketing. This is a situation where workers line up in front of the gate or entrances to their workplace, preventing others from going to the workplace. Now, this is done until their grievances are addressed. Without it, it means no work should be done, nobody enters the workplace. Then we have ultimatum. This is where workers give specific time and then date to their employers, telling them if their grievances are not met, then they are going on strike. Then we have the last resort, which is known as strike. So with this strike, that is when all the measures fail, then the last thing the trade unions will have to do is to go on strike. That is, they go on the street and then demonstrate in order for the employers to stick to their grievances. Then we look at that of the Employers Association. What is Employers Association? It is also an association of group of employers in the same line of business formed to promote and protect the interests of members both against the pressure of government and then the labor union. So as the name suggests, Employers Association, that is a group of employers who come together to protect their interests. Now, a typical example, we have that of the Association of Ghana Industries, we have the Pure Water Producers Association, the Real Estate Owners Association, and then that of the Car Owners Association. There are others, but these are few. Now, we look at the functions of Employers Association. The first is to present a united front in bargaining with trade unions. Then to resist unreasonable demands for wage increase by trade unions. Then the other is to promote cooperation among members so as to reduce unhealthy competition or rivalry. Now we move to measures used by employers associations to regulate activities of trade unions. The first measure they also use is that of the collective bargaining, where the parties sit down and then thrash out certain issues bothering them in terms of the trade union. Then they also influence the trade unions leaders so that this time they will rather fight for them and not fight for their members. Then we have blacklisting. That is where employers identify and then name some workers as outlaws. That is, they use them as scapegoats to put fear in others. Then another measure is close down. When they realize that trade unions are worrying them by demanding for higher salaries, then what they do is then they have to shut down the business completely. So these are the measures used by the Employers Association. Now, if you've watched up to this time, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. You like, you share, and you leave a comment below.